Is Western countries that send troops to fight against Muslim countries considered Dar al-Harb?
Yeah, well, the concept of Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb became a bit complicated these days. And again, this understanding of the classification of abodes, whether to Dar al-Harb or to Dar al-Islam, has to be carefully understood. Because when the scholars said that this is Dar al-Harb, they meant that there are certain consequences on that classification. For example, when they said that this is Dar al-Harb, yeah, they said that in essence, Muslims in Dar al-Islam is in a state of war with them, with Dar al-Harb. And at that time, they were not expecting Muslims to live in Dar al-Harb. Okay? And also, they were discussing whether the person is allowed to marry from a lady that belongs to Dar al-Harb or not. They were also discussing the financial transactions in Dar al-Harb. They were also discussing the permissibility of taking the wealth of people of Dar al-Harb. So when they mentioned this classification, they did not just mention it for the sake of it. They mentioned it because of certain consequences. I hope that this point is clear. Now, some of those consequences, if we look at them carefully, some of them are built on this classification, and some of them are not related to this classification. For example, if, let us say, India was involved in a war against Pakistan, yeah? Now, Pakistan is not really that Islamic country that represent Islam and Muslims. Maybe the war against Pakistan is because of some political issues, okay? And because, for example, India has more troops or etc., they were able to invade the land of the Pakistanis. What about those Muslims who live in India? Do they see their country as Dar al-Harb? Obviously not, because they have a social contract with the Indians, with the people in India. Moreover, they have a contract with their country. Now, those contracts have some legal consequences. Maybe not all these legal consequences can be accepted in that case, but some of them should be accepted. And hence, the discussion related to whether that is classified as Dar al-Harb or this is classified as Dar al-Islam is not really that relevant. Okay? It's not really that relevant, because even if you classify it as Dar al-Harb, you cannot build all the consequences that have been mentioned on this classification by the scholars. I'll give you another example. If we say that America is Dar al-Harb, if we say that America is Dar al-Harb for who? For us Muslims in the West? It cannot be, because we do not represent a state, a Muslim state. For Muslim states are not bothered to know whether this is Dar al-Harb or not, and they have treaties with America. For Muslims in America, this is Dar al-Harb for them. If you say that it is Dar al-Harb for them, then they are allowed to go and steal. Yeah, and none of the scholars said this, because there is a social contract between the person, the Muslim American citizen, and the rest of the people. He cannot steal from them. Can someone say that it is Dar al-Harb so that you can pick the American ladies and have sexual relationship with them, and you deal with them as concubines or right-hand position? No one can say this, and even if someone were to say this, we will say that this is madness. And I think you are discussing these things now that have been discussed in Britain 30 years ago. So you are still, Allah yahdikum, in Norway, you are 30 years backward. Okay, you need to spend 30 years in order to overcome these questions and to have the real debate that you need. Yeah, we finished these questions maybe 30 years ago. Seriously, I remember that this question was discussed. I'll tell you, when it was discussed in Britain, it was discussed in 1994, 1995. How many years is this? Huh? 17 years. Okay, 17 years. Seriously, because I remember that people send it. Some brothers from Britain send it to me, and they wanted the answer of Sheikh ibn Jibreen, and Sheikh ibn Jibreen gave an answer for this. That some people advocate that because we are in Dar al-Harb, we can go and take those women and have a relationship with them because they are the right hand position and they are the concubines. Yeah, and this is madness. This is Dar al-Harb. Yeah, if we say that this is Dar al-Harb. So the question or the issue of Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam is very in many cases is very, very irrelevant to our discussion. Again, in Dar al-Harb you cannot pray in Jama'ah. Can you? You can't pray in Jama'ah. Which is Dar al-Harb that allows you to pray in Jama'ah? Okay, safely, peacefully. Yeah, you can't. And there are many other things that we practice in countries who are involved in maybe war against some Muslim countries. Yeah, and the matter is not that simple. The matter is not black and white.